Now moving on to questions 14 to 29. In the first section we have 14 to 19. We're going to be reading the text. It has 8 paragraphs labeled A to H. So write the correct letter A to H in the boxes, okay? So basically you're finding which of these statements matches, the main theme of the paragraph. And there will always be more paragraphs than there are, statements. And on some tests, there might be 2 statements that match with 1 paragraph. Many people think, it has to be 1A or 1C or 1 paragraph is D. That's not the case. It could be, 2 paragraphs, 2 paragraphs would have 1 paragraph would have 1 statement or 2 statements that matches together with it. So it's a good idea to underline keywords in each question before you read, like we did with the other one. So people with mathematical skills. That seems like the main theme of a paragraph, so we need to find that one. Again, we're looking for the author's opinion with 15, and even though it's the second statement, author's opinion usually comes at the end. So we probably find this one near the end. The increasing use of data. Okay, so again, there must be a paragraph that talks about how there's a trend, or and it's managing goods in stock. A comparison of clothes industry and food industry. We want to find that. And this sentence is quite long. So usually, the impact of analyzing weather, there might be a couple paragraphs about that. And then here we are over an extended period. I kind of get the feeling that there must be a paragraph that just focuses on the extended period portion, okay? So we need to make sure we find that paragraph. And again, the relative merits of designing clothes. So we're looking for, a sentence or paragraph that, is talking about the good points of doing a certain design of clothes. Now remember, the answers are going to be shown in the order they appear and not necessarily, 14, 15, 16. The first one that appears is 17, and it matches with B. A comparison of the clothes industry with the food industry. And here we can see some foods right here. Although they are not perishable goods like butter or meat, which can spoil over a period of time, this is the only paragraph that goes into detail about food. So there we have our answer, with 17, it matches with B. The next one that appears is C, the relative merits of designing clothes in a particular way. And here it is. As a result, one solution has been the development of seasonless clothing. The principle is to create clothing that can be worn at any time of the year. So, it's designed in a particular way. That's the seasonless clothing. And what's the merit? Well, it can be worn at any time of the year. The next one we come across is 14, and that's D, how people with mathematical skills are becoming involved in the clothes industry. Well, here we go. Predictive analytics, again, that's kind of a math term, for planning and forecasting. The basic idea is use, and here we go, case studies. Okay, well, we're not sure about that's math, but definitely data analysis, graphs, and equation, all of those things are synonymous with math. So there we go, we've definitely got 14, D matches with that. The next answer we come across is 15, and its paragraph E matches. So the author's opinion. Here's the expressions that show the author's opinion. It may be argue that, one that could have. It doesn't really matter what it says after, but we know when we see these expressions that someone is giving their opinion. And for the next question is 18F, the impact of analyzing the weather and the clothes industry over an extended period. That's the key, extended period. The synonym here is analysis, course, observe longer term trends. It doesn't say over a longer period, it says longer term trends, which is completely a synonym, for long term or an extended period. And finally, we have 16G, the increasing use of data on managing goods in stock. For this one, we can see a shop there might have a large amount of unsold coats in their storeroom. Storeroom is completely synonymous with stock. It's where a retailer will keep their products. So that's the one, the synonym that matches. I mean, there's other things in this paragraph too, but that's the key that definitely makes it stand out, that it's related to stock and managing it. Okay, well, let's move on to questions 14 to 29, but first 20 to 24. Unlike the previous questions, these will come in order because you're looking for no more than 3 words from the text for each answer. So again, the maximum here is 3 words, or a number in 2 words, or 2 numbers. But anyway, the key is 3. Okay, so we want to underline or think about the main things. Major drought. Again, if you know that a drought is related to no water, then or no rain, then that'll help a lot. For influences to clothing shops, again, you were looking for what is influencing clothing shops. Okay, so again, we want to find that in the article and then focus in on the words around it. Invented, to try to avoid uncertainty, there might be a different expression like came up with. So again, we want to be thinking about that and find the synonyms for this. Next, we're thinking about the students at FIT, okay, and what they were interested in more than tailoring and fabrics. And for question 24, what should people observe? Kind of giving advice, and again, to be successful. So let's have a look at those answers now. For question 20, what is the name of the major drought? Well, we can find it here. It's called the Big Dry. So the Big Dry, right there it is, but we want to be sure. So they are experiencing one of the longest periods of drought in living memory. Okay, so that's the name for that. And for question 21, for what influences shops to get out of their business, well, this is unpredictable weather patterns. Okay, and the answer is down here. The unpredictable weather patterns can damage the profitability of clothing stores and even put them out of business. So to get out of their business, and again down here is to put them out of business. It's a very similar expression, but it's not the same. And again, damage the profitability. This is the feeling of, get out of the business or go bankrupt. So that's the answer for this one. For question 22, what was invented to try to avoid uncertainty in the clothing business? Well, this is seasonless clothing. Seasonless clothing, which we can find here. As a result, one solution has been the development of seasonless clothing. So there, we can find it right there. For question 23, well, we've got what were students at FIT more interested in than tailoring fabrics? Well, we've got the answer down here. So, we can see New York, FIT, and then we go down a bit. The course is geared more towards those with an interest. So geared more towards is kind of focused on, and then there's our answer. Merchandising and marketing. Again, geared more towards, more interested in, that's the synonym there. And then we've got our answer, merchandising and marketing. And then, because it's in the question, former alumni such as Calvin Klein, whose typical focus was on, fabric, and not computer spreadsheets. For 24, we can see that to succeed in the marketplace, what should people observe? Well, the answer is longer term trends, which we can find here. Instead of just looking back at last year's season, the students on the predictive analysis course observe longer term trends. Okay? In a competitive marketplace, this can make the difference between success and failure. Okay? So this idea of it, can make the difference between success and failure, and to succeed in the marketplace. Those two longer expressions are completely matched. Okay? So to succeed in the marketplace Again, the difference between success and failure, what do they need to focus on, right, or observe? Well, longer term trends. And for question 25, well, there's no answers here. And once we get to this section, there's no answers. And that's the end of these questions. Now moving on to questions 25 to 29 in this section for this reading, you can see that we have multiple choice, A, B, C, D. So again, we want to focus in and find out where they talk about shops, and then find the sentence or statement that best agrees. For question 26, well, again, we're going to focus in on seasonless clothing. We've probably already noticed it in our skimming with the previous questions, so we want to find that and focus in on which of these statements best matches. For 27, we want to focus in on, this is a bit more difficult because you must find the answer that is not true. Okay, these questions are always the most challenging because you're basically kind of saying, okay, they talk about that one, they talk about that one, okay, they don't talk about this one. So, I think 27 might be the hardest one of this group. And for 28, try to find where the author gives a negative opinion, okay? Because they're talking about being lazy, not listening to customers, some sort of criticism. For question 29, concludes, probably in the last or second last paragraph. And again, you want to focus on, what the future will, the fashion industry will. Again, you want to focus probably on the last paragraph or the second last paragraph. All right, well, let's find those answers. For 25, we can see according to the text, shops are always in danger from seasonal changes in the weather. And for that one, we can find the answer here. Thus, unpredictable weather. Boom, we have it right there. Unpredictable weather patterns, that was in a previous answer, can damage the profitability of clothing stores and even put them out of business, okay? So that's what they're in danger of, okay? Are always in danger from seasonal changes in weather. Now for question 26, seasonless clothing is only good for people who, spend most of their time indoors. Well, they don't say spend time indoors, but we can infer, such seasonless clothing is only suitable for people who spend a great deal of time in air-conditioned places around the world, okay? So that's where the answer would be for that one. They don't say indoors, but it is saying spend time in air-conditioned places. We can definitely feel that, C is the appropriate answer for this one. Now for 27, students in the predictive analysis course at FIT do not, C, develop computer models for designs, okay? So it doesn't say anywhere about computer models, okay? The basic idea is to use case studies, data analysis, graphs, and equations. So, to predict what the future may hold, and nowhere does it say computer models. And for 28, the author of the article criticized some clothing stores for, and the answer is A, being lazy, okay? Here it is. With the losers being those who just glance at the previous season's highs and lows. Again, it's quite negative, right? Losers, and they just glance. That's kind of the feeling of being lazy, just study for 5 minutes or just, exercise for 5 minutes. That feels lazy, right? So the answer here is A. And for question 29, well, the author concludes that the future of the fashion industry, it will be greener. We can find that here. Business can increase their sales while reducing their carbon footprint. Again, it doesn't say be greener in the article, but this reducing your carbon footprint, another synonym for that is be greener. And as I keep mentioning, it really is a vocabulary test, right? They didn't say greener. If you're looking for the word green, you're not going to find it. It's talking about the environment, reducing a carbon footprint. If you know that expression, this question will be much easier.